Tennessee, 1804. The land looked peaceful. Rolling hills stretched beneath a pale autumn sky, broken only by thick forests and the slow, lazy bend of the Red River. To any traveler passing through, it seemed like a place blessed by God himself. Fertile soil, clean water, and silence so deep it rang in the ears. But silence, as the Bell family would learn, does not always mean peace. John Bell stood at the edge of his newly claimed farmland, hands resting on his hips, breathing in the promise of prosperity. He had traveled hundreds of miles from North Carolina with his wife Lucy and their children, chasing the American dream before it even had a name. This land would be his legacy behind him. The cabin stood half-finished trough, timber walls, a dirt floor, and a roof that leaked in 3 places. But it was theirs. None of them knew they were not alone. It began with something small. One evening, as the family gathered for supper, Betsy Beltha, youngest daughter, froze mid-bite. "Did you hear that?" she asked. The others paused. The cabin was quiet, except for the crackle of the fire. "Hear what?" Lucy asked gently. Betsy's eyes darted to the far corner of the room. "Scratching," John laughed. "Probably a rat. This place is full of them." But when he stood and lifted the lantern, the sound stopped instantly. No rat, no holes, no movement. That night, the scratching returned. It came from the walls. Within days, sounds multiplied. Knocking echoed from inside the wooden beams. Soft thuds rolled across the ceiling as if something crawled just out of sight. At night, whispers floated through the room, too faint to understand, but unmistakably voices. Lucy prayed. John blamed animals. The children lay awake, staring into darkness that felt suddenly alive. Then the whispers spoke clearly for the first time. "I'm here." Betsy screamed. The lantern fell. Firelight dancing wildly across the walls as the voice continued, female, cold, and amused. "I've always been here." The entity soon stopped hiding. It pulled blankets from sleeping children. It slapped faces. It yanked Lucy's hair so violently she cried out in pain. Betsy suffered the worse, pinched, struck, scratched until bruises bloomed across her skin, and then it named itself. "I am Kate," the voice said, "and I will not leave." John Bell demanded answers. "Who are you?" The reply came with laughter that curdled the blood. "I am a spirit. I am a witch. I am here for John Bell," which claimed the land had been stolen. That John Bell had cheated a woman named Kate Batts in a land deal. Whether true or imagined, it no longer mattered. The curse had been spoken. "I will drive you mad," the witch promised. "I will ruin your family. I will kill you." John Bell did not believe in witches. He would die begging for mercy. As weeks passed, the haunting escalated. The witch demonstrated terrifying intelligence, quoting scripture, repeating conversations spoken miles away, predicting deaths before they happened. She sang hymns in a mocking voice and recited sermons better than any preacher. Visitors came to witness the phenomenon. Most left in terror. Some were beaten. One man was thrown across the room by an invisible force. Another was slapped so hard his face swelled shut. The witch bragged about it. "I can kill whoever I want," she said, "and no one can stop me." Word of the haunting reached a man who would one day become President of the United States. General Andrew Jackson arrived with armed men. Convinced the story was nonsense, that confidence lasted until nightfall. Jackson's wagon refused to move. Wheels locked as if cemented to the earth. A voice rang out from the darkness. "All right, General. I'll let you pass now." The wagon lurched forward. That night, one of Jackson's men was beaten unconscious by an unseen force. Jackson left before sunrise. He later admitted, "I'd rather fight the British again than face the Bell Witch." Bell grew weaker. He complained of a constant choking sensation. As if invisible hands pressed against his throat, his speech slurred. His body trembled. The witch mocked him relentlessly. "I won't let you die easy," she said one morning. John was found unconscious. Beside him sat a small vial filled with dark liquid. I gave him that. The witch said cheerfully, "Let's see if it kills him." The liquid was tested on the family cat. The cat died instantly. John Bell never woke up. At John Bell's funeral, as mourners gathered in silence, the witch sang loudly. She laughed. She celebrated. "I killed John Bell," she announced, "and I'll be back." And after years of terror, she vanished, but not before leaving a promise. "I'll return in 7 years." The year was 1821. 7 years had passed since the witch's laughter echoed through John Bell's funeral. 7 years of uneasy quiet. 7 years in which the Bell family tried desperately to rebuild what had been shattered. They failed. After John Bell's death, the haunting stopped abruptly. No scratching. No voices. No beatings in the night, but peace never returned to the Bell farm. Lucy Bell aged rapidly, her hair turning gray within a year. Betsy refused to sleep alone and woke screaming from nightmares, where unseen hands dragged her into the woods. The other children scattered as soon as they were able, marrying early, moving far, refusing to speak of the past. Locals whispered that the land was cursed. No family stayed long on neighboring properties. Crops failed without explanation. Animals were found, dead eyes wide, bodies untouched. Everyone remembered the witch's last words. "I'll be back in 7 years." 7 years had come. It began again on a cold winter evening. Lucy Bell sat alone by the fireplace, knitting in silence. The cabin creaked as the wind pressed against the walls. Then the knitting needles slid from her hands. She hadn't dropped them. They were pulled from across the room. Lucy stood slowly, heart pounding. "Who's there?" she whispered. The fire flickered, and from the darkness came a voice she had prayed never to hear again. "Did you miss me?" Lucy collapsed to her knees. The witch was different this time, stronger, crueler, more deliberate. She, blessed, but acted more. Doors slammed violently. Furniture overturned itself. The sound of nails dragging across wood echoed through the night, but the Bell family was no longer whole. There was no John Bell left to torment. So, the witch found new victims. The haunting spread beyond the farm. Children in nearby homes woke with bruises shaped like fingerprints. Parents heard their names whispered from empty rooms. Travelers reported being followed by invisible footsteps through the forest. One boy claimed an unseen woman walked beside him, humming softly, her voice dripping with malice. When asked what she said, the boy answered, "She told me I'd die before winter." He did. The witch began predicting events quietly at first. Then, with terrifying accuracy, she spoke of death's days before they occurred. She described distant disasters no one had yet heard of. She recited private scenes of respected men in public, humiliating them beyond repair. Witnesses wrote accounts that still exist today. The witch allegedly foretold the Civil War, the assassination of a U.S. president, a future where iron birds fill the sky and men burn cities from above. She laughed while saying it. Unlike common ghost stories, the Bell Witch was never seen. No shadow, no figure, no form. Only a voice everywhere and nowhere. It could be soft as a whisper or loud enough to shake walls. It spoke multiple languages. It sang hymns perfectly. It argued theology with preachers, and one minister fled the farm screaming after the witch corrected his sermon line by line. "You don't even believe what you preach," she told him. "Why should anyone else?" Preachers came. Witch hunters followed. Self-proclaimed demon experts arrived with books, charms, and arrogance. None succeeded. Prayers angered her. Holy water was mocked. One man attempted an exorcism and was hurled against a wall so hard his ribs shattered. The witch laughed. "You have no power here," she said. "I was here before your God." Betsy returned to the farm briefly to care for her mother. The witch immediately focused on her. "You remember me?" the voice crooned. "You're still mine." Betsy was no longer a child. She fought back, prayed, screamed, begged. It didn't matter. She was slapped in front of witnesses. Her hair was pulled violently while invisible hands dragged her across the floor. At night, She was tormented until her mind began to fracture. One night, she screamed a sentence that froze everyone present. "She won't let me leave. She says if I escape, she'll kill everyone I love." Betsy fled the next morning and never returned. She would suffer mental illness for the rest of her life. Just as suddenly as she returned, the witch announced her departure. "I've done what I came to do," she said, "but this place is still mine." She promised to return again, this time in 107 years. No one laughed. No one doubted her then. Silence fell once more. Years later, a cave was discovered on the former Bell property. Those who entered reported disembodied voices, sudden nausea, feelings of overwhelming dread, scratches appearing on their skin, locals believe. The cave is the witch's doorway. Some who entered never returned the same, some never returned at all. In 1935, exactly 107 years later, reports of strange activity surfaced again, voices near the old Bell land objects moving on their own children, hearing songs with no singer. Events were never officially investigated, but locals still avoid the area, and some swear. On quiet nights, if you stand near the cave, you can hear a woman laughing. For decades after the witch's second disappearance, people tried to turn the Bell Witch into a story. Stories are safe. Stories end.